I'd like to talk with you today about a component to your relationship that is huge. It is something that when I interviewed my super couples, I realized that at its core, a super marriage is one that is built on solid trust. These couples say, I trust my spouse with anything. They know me better than I know myself. There is nothing I wouldn't tell my spouse. And so they share things that maybe you and I are afraid. I don't really want to tell them that my boss yelled at me at work because I don't trust if they're going to respond rightly. I don't really want to tell them I got a speeding ticket. Danny Bacon, I'm not talking about me. I'm just, it's an example. But trust, right? I trust you so much. I'll tell you everything. I'll let you see me naked. I'll let you see me emotionally naked. That's what trust is. So you have to think that I'm switching trajectories, which I'm actually not. What I'd like to talk with you about is one way so that we can learn to trust each other. And it is the body language. Probably threw your curve there, didn't I? All right. Did you ever hear that actions speak louder than words? I'm sure everybody watching this has heard that. Well, I was just recently talking to a friend and I said, did you realize, now here's where my PhD is kicking in. Did you realize that 93% of our communication is done non-verbally? 93! That means only 7% of the communication that you and I do each and every day. You do with your spouse, you do with the cashier at the grocery store, that you do with your mom, with anybody, right? 7% is either the written or the spoken word. Actual words are used, which means the other 93% is your body language. So for instance, tone of voice, inflections. If I said to you these 7 words, I didn't say he stole the money, right? I'd ask you what that means. 7 different meanings, right? If you accentuate, I didn't say he stole the money, well, what's the meaning of that sentence? Well, you're not the one that said it, somebody else did. Or you could inflect the other word. I didn't say he stole the money. Okay, so the words are all the same, changing my inflection. Now, what's that mean? Well, I didn't say it. Maybe I typed it down, or maybe I hinted at it, or maybe I otherwise communicated it. But I didn't say it. Or you could say, I didn't say he stole the money. It changes it even more, right? Oh, so somebody stole the money, but it was someone else. Or you can inflect the other word. I didn't say he stole the money. Okay, what did you mean? You meant otherwise procured the money? Or you could change the last word. I didn't say he stole the money. Oh, well, he stole something. So those 7 words, when I first said them, you're like, of course everybody knows that they mean you speak English. But do you see what we just did? We changed it from accusing someone of theft to saying that they stole the wrong property, to say, I didn't even say that. I mean, the meanings were gargantuan, and all of that changed only by the inflection in my voice, a little bit of eye contact. So if I say to my spouse, if I say to you, and you walk in the house, you slam the door, your face looks like, and your spouse says, how are you doing today? You're like, fine, I'm fine. 7% is done non-verbally. So if you were to say, you're fine, that's verbal. But everything else, your facial expressions, your tone of voice, the slamming of the door, your posture, your arm gestures, everything else in that interchange says, I am not fine. Not fine. And we do that all the time. And what that's called is incongruent. When our verbal language does not match our nonverbals, it's incongruent. And then we don't trust you. Oh, wait. Okay, you're fine. You sure don't look fine. Oh, you call me a liar? Now you call me a freaking liar? Because I said to you I was fine. Okay, right? So something went on to that person when they were at work. But what that is saying is the person listening to you, the person you're communicating with, sees your body language. They're always going to override your words. If you have incongruent language, it's going to break trust. If you have a spouse, if you have a friend, this is true for spouses, friends, siblings, everybody, right? But you know me, I'm going to just focus on the spouse. If you want to have a solid relationship with your spouse, you have got to fix that. You've got to say, I'm sorry, Dan. Yes, I'm sorry, spouse. I wasn't having a good day. I'm not fine, but I don't feel like talking about it right now. I apologize. That's the good way to handle it. But so many of us instead are like, I was fine. And we never own up. And what that does is essentially the person watching you is like, okay, they don't know what really happened. They don't trust you when you say you're fine. And then they wonder, well, when other times will she say something? Will he say something? And it doesn't match what really happened. When that happens, you're destroying the core of your intimacy, the core of your relationship. If you want to get to an extremely happy marriage, you have got to trust people. You've got to trust them enough to make sure your verbal and your nonverbal match. You've got to trust them enough that if their nonverbal and verbals don't match, what is the best loving way you can call them out and be like, maybe sometimes calling them out like, I know you're not telling the truth. It's not going to be effective. But maybe when you see them say, fine, and then go to their office and slam their door, you can get on your knees and ask the Lord, Lord, I know they had a bad day. What is the best way I can interact with them? Because the reason we don't always trust people is we've been hurt before. If I tell you the truth, and it's not even hurt like you hurt me. Let's look at a good marriage, right? I don't want to tell you because if I tell you, you tend to talk too much. You don't listen to me when I just want a listening ear. I don't want a speech. Our teenagers will do that. Our teenagers will talk to us so much more if our response is good. So they too will give us incongruent language. School day was fine, Mom. Okay. So how do you find out how to get them to be congruent? How to get people to share their real thoughts and feelings so that their body language and their verbal language matches when they're communicating with you? You've got to create a safe space. And what does that mean? Safe enough that when you share something or say, I don't want to talk about it, that you leave them alone and you don't talk about it. That when they say, when they cry, when they have any response, that they trust that you'll just be okay with it. Trust is so much deeper than we realize, but it's essential. And if you really, really love someone, you will want to trust them. You will want them to trust you. I can't control how other people show me their body language versus their incongruency or congruent language, but I can control mine. I can just, if I fail, come back and say, I'm sorry. Or I can just work to make sure I'm just honest. Goes so much further than you think. So much further. So that's today's lesson. Are you communicating? You know what, actually, one more thing. Did you know that it's almost impossible to lie with your nonverbals? Oh, they've done so much research on this about micro behaviors, micro actions that we read. So it's almost impossible, and that's why we always trust the body over the language. So I just want you to check yourself. Am I matching? Because if I do, then you trust me. And if you trust me more, you'll share with me more. And if you share with me more, we'll be more intimate. If we're more intimate, the relationship is so much richer, specifically your marital relationship. So try it out. Let me know how it works for you. Post in the comments. I'm always here to help. You know, communication's my thing. I can make it sound easy on a video, but it takes time to practice, especially if you had bad habits of doing stuff like this for your whole lifetime. So if your marriage is bad, it's not always the other person. It might sometimes be you. Like, I guess I could have done that better. All right. Looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. You've been watching breakfast with bacon. Don't forget to live your life sunny side up.